I remember when I first started my business, particularly my online course side of my business, I needed so many programs to do the things I wanted to do. And then when I started adding the online course properly and I started adding this and that and this and that, everything got so expensive and there were so many different pieces to connect with each other. That was when I decided that I needed to find a system that I could use to pull everything together so that not really to save on price, which I'll talk about shortly, but also to save on just connecting everything and having everything in all these different places. It was just getting way too confusing. And so I want to share with you the program that I use and I have been using for like 4 years now to grow my business and why it's been an absolute game changer for the way that I approach my business on a day-to-day level. So hi, if we haven't met before, my name is Jackie and I am normally talking to you about graphic design, branding and all those sorts of things. But today I'm actually talking to you about the behind the scenes of the programs that I use to run my business. I've done a few different episodes now talking about an overall view of all the programs that I use, and I've done a bit of a deep dive into ManyChat, and today I'm doing a deep dive into Kartra, which is the program that I use to house my emails, my landing pages, my programs, all sorts of things inside this one program. Now this is also part of another series I'm doing all about online courses. Last week I interviewed Kate Scott all about sales page design and how to do that really strategically. I highly recommend giving that a watch or a listen if you haven't already. This week I'm talking about the program that I use to house my online program, and over the next few weeks we're going to dive into the branding and design of your online course. If your course needs branding, some really big mistakes that I see when people are trying to create and promote their online courses, and how you can make sure that your brand, your design of your course is going to be used to attract people into your course and help you charge a higher price point and to be something that actually stands the test of time rather than just this cute little idea that you had that kind of disappeared because it couldn't get any legs. And so if you are wanting to create an online course or you have already and you're not happy with the program that you're using, I want to talk to you today about what I'm using. And so as I mentioned, the program that I use for my online course, and a lot of different systems I have to go into that because it's not just an online course, is Kartra. And so if you weren't aware, when you have an online course, you need to promote said online course. Usually people don't just find it by themselves. You need to do some marketing. And to do that marketing, usually you have to do email marketing. And then once you get someone into your email marketing and you're promoting to them, you need to get them to learn about the course, which usually is done via a sales page, a big long page that overviews what your course is actually about. Then once you've actually convinced them that they need it, they need to go to a checkout page. And in there, you kind of give some more testimonials, you convince them. And there you go through and give some more testimonials and you usually share a bit of a checkout thing, like they actually have to enter their payment details and do this whole big process. How does that happen? And then after that, you have to send them thank you emails and full emails to say, here is access to your course, and then give them a whole course program module. Like everything that takes for an online course is actually quite overwhelming, but I found that Kartra makes it a little bit easier because everything's all together in one. So like I said, I've been using Kartra for quite a few years now, and like I said in my previous episodes as well, I am an affiliate for Kartra, which means that if you purchase using my link, I'll get a little bit of a kickback from that. But please know that I only ever share links that I use myself and I fully believe in, and so you can know that when I'm sharing Kartra, it's because I'm actually using myself for the last few years. And so in this episode, I'm going to talk about why I use it, how I use it. I'm also going to give you the ability to get a little checklist that I've made for when you're first starting Kartra. What are some first things you should do, because there are some things you do just need to know. If you don't know them, you might do it wrong. And also I'm going to give you my affiliate link and a link to get 30% off your first payment. And if you choose to do an annual subscription, that is a whopper of a discount for you. So like I mentioned, the reason I chose Kartra is just because it keeps everything all together in one spot. So I'm going to go through now how I use it myself, and also a couple of the features that I'm not using that you could also use as well, which even is going to save you more subscriptions. So say for example, emails. Nearly every single online business and nearly every business in general is going to need an email system. I'm not talking about like your Gmail. You need a system that can send bulk emails so you can build up email subscribers. And so for me, I use Kartra for that. Having a subscription outside of Kartra will cost you anywhere from $30 to $50 USD. And so already Kartra is saving me money because I'm using that within this program. I'm sending emails every fortnight. I'm sending emails to my students. I'm sending promotional emails about my courses. I'm sending emails like once you sign up for a freebie, I'm sending you emails after that. So I'm sending a lot of emails in my business, and Kartra does all of those for me, except for like my Gmail emails. You know, that's a different thing when I'm just emailing someone individually. Something else that I also love that Kartra does, and I actually remember when I first went onto the website and I watched like the little promo video, this was the thing that got me across the line because I hadn't seen this yet. And now I'm going to be honest, a lot of programs do this, which is really great, but for me, I love that Kartra does it as well. And that is the ability to tag my audience and to get a bit of like a little, like every person, like if you're on my email list, I have a little thing that I can look up with you on it. I can see so much about each person who is on my list. I can see what country they're they're from, I can see their email address. If they've entered in their Instagram handle at all as an optional extra, then I can see that as well. I can also see what lists they're on. I can also see what email sequences they're in. I can see what memberships and courses they're a part of. I can see what pages they've looked at. I can even see their log, so I can see which emails they've opened, which emails they've clicked on, which parts of my course they've looked at. So many different things to give me data on this person so that I can better serve them and keep track of things. And also means that if someone loses their password, I can resend that and I can't see their password. I could just resend the details. And I can look at their purchases and I can send them an invoice if they need it. Like I can do so many things all right here inside Kartra. My favorite part, I got distracted, is that I can tag people. So if someone like signs up for something or views a particular page or looks at a checkout or watches part of my video, I can assign them a tag. I can, like, if you watch one of my masterclass replays, chances are that you're going to have a tag on you that says, watch 20 minutes of masterclass replay, watched all of the masterclass replay, or visited X checkout. Like I can see all of these things so that I can follow up my audience so that I know who is a warm lead and who is a cold lead, who should be purchasing from me soon and who is not interested at all. I can see all of these things inside this data, which I find so wildly useful as a business owner. Another thing that I use Kartra for is for all of my freebies. So when you have a freebie, you don't just send people the link to the freebie. You are doing so many things. You need to have the landing page for that freebie. You need to have the thank you page for that freebie. You need to have the confirmation email that sends them said freebie. And then if you're getting a little bit fancy, you can have a whole email sequence that sends after they download the freebie to warm them up and to share more value with them. So all of those things 100% I do inside Kartra. I make the forms, I make the landing pages, I make the thank you pages, I make the emails, I make the equal email sequences. All of those things are done inside Kartra. And there are a lot of templates existent for these too. Like there's a page template that I can just update with my colors, update with my imagery, update with my form, and it's all done. The next thing I use Kartra for, which I've already mentioned, is to house my courses in general. So there are membership portals inside Kartra. So in your whole course module, you can have modules, you can have different posts inside those modules, you can share videos, you can house those videos either inside Kartra itself or outside Kartra. Personally, I actually house most of my videos inside Vimeo just so I don't slow down my Kartra program. And also for the earlier plans for Kartra, I don't have like a ton of video space, but it is possible should you want to. And when you do house videos inside Kartra, I do this for my masterclass replays and stuff. I actually can, like I mentioned before, I can add in tags so I can track how far people have actually watched through a video. I can also add pop-ups and links that come up. It's really helpful when you're doing those videos that you want tracking on. I can house all of my courses, all of my programs right inside Kartra as well, which is so useful. I can grant access to memberships. I can revoke access on memberships. There's so many different parts and things that I can do right inside Kartra. The next thing that I do is obviously, like I mentioned earlier, when you have a course, you need to have those sales pages. So I house my whole sales page. These pages have some really great templates that I can just click and add different sections to and apply my branding to, apply my imagery to, apply my text to. Videos into these sales pages. I can add countdown timers into these sales pages. Again, I can add tags into these sales pages. These are mobile responsive, desktop responsive, so many things I can do on these sales pages. And so if you were to use a program like Lead Pages or ClickFunnels to do your landing pages, you'd be paying $50 to $100 USD per month just for those programs. So again, Kartra takes that subscription out of my hands. And for course portals, say I was using Kajabi or Teachable, which I used to use, those programs can cost anywhere from $40 to $150 a month. So again, my Kartra subscription covers that. And like I mentioned, I also house my checkouts inside Kartra. So I can have a checkout for all of my different programs, whether it's a $1 program or a $5,000 program or more. All of that can be done inside Kartra as well. And again, there are a ton of different options for how this can look. But if I was to use Samcart or Thrivecart or any of the other checkout options, it would again be costing me at least $60 a month USD. Something else I also use Kartra for is my affiliate program. And you could also use it for your calendar booking system or your form system. I personally don't use it for those two things as they're not perfect for me just yet, but they are really robust if you don't need anything super fancy. And so when you add up all the different subscriptions that you might be needing to use in your business, that would be at least $270 USD per month. And so with Kartra though, you can start with $99 USD per month. That's on the starter plan. And so for me, I actually used the starter plan for quite a few years until I upgraded to the more premium plans because I think the first thing I ran out of was sending enough emails in a month, and I also ran out of email subscriber limits. But having that starter plan when you're starting is perfect because you can then just build, and right now it makes sense for me to pay that extra money because my programs and courses and what I'm using Kartra for is bringing in the money to pay for those things, so it just is a no-brainer. And now if you're thinking you might give Kartra a go, there is a 30-day free trial. Just head to kartra.com/Jackie. How cool is that? And you'll see all the details to starting a free trial there. And if you use the code WD30, you'll get 30% off your first purchase. But I'm going to share with you now some tips on, all right, if I try to give Kartra a go, what are some things that I should do? Firstly, like I mentioned, just start with the starter plan. You don't need to go all techie and try to do everything straight away. Just start with that starter plan and upgrade as you need to. Unless you're like someone who's already using a different program, you're switching everything across and you're already like at like that top end, switch across to a higher plan. But if you're just starting out, using that starter plan is totally fine. And the tip I want to give you is to download my freebie, which goes through a bit of a checklist of the things you need to know. Things like what tags to make, what list names to make, what kind of automations to set up at the start. That's another thing Kartra does, is a lot of great automation. So it means, say if someone was to click on, this is so great, I love tech. If someone was to watch 20 minutes of my masterclass and didn't finish watching it, I could have an automation that says, if someone gets X tag, but then 20 minutes later doesn't get watch the whole masterclass tag, then I can add them into an email sequence that sends them an email automatically that says, oh, hey, I noticed you didn't watch it. Here's the link to start watching again. You're going to learn X, Y, and Z. And then if they don't open that email, I can automatically send them another email. Like there's so much flow that I can have in here to make sure I'm really nurturing my leads and they're not getting lost. They're not forgetting about my offers. It's just so cool. Anyway, so that checklist is going to give you a few ideas of things to start with and a few, I guess, steps, because I'm going to be real with you. Kartra does have a learning curve. It is not, in my humble opinion, the most user-friendly program, but it is very powerful. And if you are wanting a long-term successful business, I highly recommend biting the bullet and getting in early so you can use it and set it up well at the start of your business and have that growing with you for the life of your business. So if you're finding it a little bit tricky when you get started, work through that checklist, utilize heaps of Kartra's free resources and education pieces. I also share some free Facebook groups that you should join inside that checklist as well to make sure that you can kind of really have a place to ask some questions to real people if you want to. And just know that learning new programs do take time, but like me, I've been using it for a few years now. I've got my VA using it now, so she does most things for me, and it's just all working really smoothly because I committed to setting it up towards the start of my business and my online course journey. And so if you're tired of duct taping different ideas and pieces together for your business, I highly recommend giving an all-in-one platform just like Kartra Go. I found it to work really well for me, and I hope that it could be really supportive for you. If you've got any questions, feel free to pop them into the comments below if you're watching on YouTube, or DM me on Instagram. My handle is whitedeergd and I can answer your questions there. But firstly, I'd recommend jumping on that free trial. Just head to kartra.com/Jackie to grab that free trial, download that free checklist, and that will give you the great things to start with. Also make sure to use the code WD30 for 30% off your first payment. All right, thanks for joining me. I hope you found that so useful, and join me next week for more information on how to brand your online courses.